Here we are. Here we are. Hey, Jay Bent. See you stop by. Today, I don't know. I don't do a lot of React content, and I don't do that mostly because I don't think I can actually be funny off the cuff. But I figured this wouldn't be a bad time to, since I'm trying to fill up the whole month with a stream every day, it wouldn't be a bad time to try and react to something, because, that's content that doesn't require so much effort. But in this case I have a unique perspective of expertise since this is literally a video that I made. So I think the goal today, just watch the video, pause every so often, and just kind of talk about what's going on, thought processes, if there's anything that I think needs to be corrected or anything like that, I'll mention it. I don't know. Figured this would just be a good time to just shoot the shit about the first real video that went on this channel. Before I even start, the title, "The Voltron Anime is Weird." That one was interesting. I had one person that was slightly upset at me for calling it that, for calling it the Voltron Anime, even though I'm like obviously very aware that obviously very aware that it's called GoLion. I'm aware. I watched the whole damn thing in Japanese. I mean, I'd have to be aware. But yeah, I don't know. Giving it the clickbaity Voltron anime sure is weird was a choice that I think paid off. And I'm glad you think it's funny, J-Bet. But I get that the title is reductive. That's a bit the point. I felt like if I went in and called it like Go Lion is weird, then probably substantially fewer people would know what I was talking about, right? Because I think us in the West, we know what Voltron is, but the name Go Lion doesn't really ring a bell. Very few of us have probably even seen it. Okay, let's actually start.
Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here.
Okay, I like that intro. I think it's cute. I think it's really cute. So should I turn up the People like the flask. People like the flask. I purchased a flask for that joke. I had to purchase one. I'm gonna spoil something for you and let you know that it was water in the flask. That was the water I used to get through saying all the lines and doing all of the recording basically in one. I mean I needed to drink water, yeah, for the sake of speaking. I did all the recording in like one day. Um your immersion's being broken, shattered. Yeah, it was water. It was water though. I purchased the flask already. I considered getting some kind of liquor to put in there. I was like at the store looking at the bottles, looking at my options, and I just realized no one's gonna actually like know. So unless I told you right now, like I've just done. So yeah, it's water. Also, I'm listening with headphones. I've been trying to like, J-Bet, I know you're an audio guy. I've been trying to figure out my audio like thing going forward. I think the Hitalia video is better. We're gonna look at that one next week. But I've listened to and enjoyed YouTubers with worse audio. Though I will admit that I think it could have been better. I think a lot of that yeah. I think I've mostly just found that as far as my audio issues go, I think Hitalia just helped because second time around. Yeah, I mean you can say my audio is kind of shit. That's okay. I'm not an audio person, and I've I've never super bothered to sit down and learn. Switching to DaVinci Resolve with the Hitalia video got me looking at some different plugins to help improve. Um but yeah, I mean, outside of that, pretty much the next thing that would actually substantially improve the audio is honestly if I got better equipment. And that's out of I just don't have the money for that right this second. I really don't. So, want better audio? I don't know. Go to my fucking Ko-fi or Patreon. That's it. That's at this point. At this point, with what I have, it is as good as it is going to be, I think. Yeah. What else could I even say?
That's a long story, one involving me graduating a semester early and deciding to take those last spare months in order to fulfill my one and only New Year's resolution to start a proper YouTube channel. And it wasn't going to be populated with more half-hearted attempts at achieving VTuber fame. No, speed draws and VOD highlights were not allowed. Instead, I wanted to flex my newly acquired English degree and make scripted content, video essays even. The problem is, I had no clue what topic to choose. So I returned to the shows of my youth. Ish. I was 16 when the first season of Voltron Legendary Defender aired on Netflix, and I kept up with it until the last season dropped. I even remember where I was when I was watching it.
Little, you're not subbed. Not subbed to the YouTube? You should be. You should be. How? Or subbed here. Which one? Which one? I'll give you time. I'll wait a second. Also, I don't know. I think because YouTube's algorithm lately has been pushing a lot of newer creators. At least creators that are new to you, smaller guys. I've gotten slightly used to in the last couple months a bit of new creator scuff. So, yay! There we go. Appreciate the sub, J Ben. Gotten used to new creator stuff. I think the general quality so far doesn't necessarily bother me. And listen, listen again. I gotta at least give my sub credit and be like, I think I'm generally in each video doing the best I can with whatever shitty equipment I got. Fucking free editing software.
I was 19, back home for the holidays, and for some reason my parents thought a family-friendly trip to Vegas was the thing to do. I had downloaded the episodes to my laptop in preparation for the 4-hour car drive and had finished it somewhere in the Mojave Desert. I had opinions about it.
See, when I'm scripted, I'm funny. When I have the time to think about it for 5 months, I'm funny. I like that. Okay, so what can I comment on here? I don't know. My early love affair with Voltron, I guess. The story is actually completely true, by the way. But yeah, I got a lot of them too. The story's completely true, by the way, including the exact circumstances with which I saw the finale. Some of my stories I bend the truth for either the sake of a comedic effect or making a point. This one I can guarantee completely entirely true. So yeah, I like got into the show around when I was like 16, around the time it was first coming out. I kept up with it pretty well, and I was mostly of the opinion that I liked all of what I was seeing, with some variance here and there, went up and down. I think I was with a lot of people in agreeing that the end, like at the time of airing, the end was kind of like mid, but I think I mostly just still liked it. Actually, I don't know. When I was when I when I was like what, like being 19 at the time that the finale dropped. I think all by then all my opinions were not very nuanced. I'll get into that more with the has been video whenever that comes out. But oftentimes could have very polarizing opinions. So either something's the worst thing ever, or the best thing ever, that kind of thing. So I think the fact that I didn't feel like it was the worst thing ever, just to me was like, it was probably good. That extreme reaction was fabricated, but the rest of the story is pretty true.
Those opinions have continued to evolve over time, but I have not seen those opinions properly articulated by another video essayist or YouTuber as of yet. This made sense as a debut video. Well, kind of. For one, I'm pretty sure an edited version of my unscripted Lightning Thief discussion, done in collaboration with The Power of Luck, streaming the last Friday of
Slightly sad that that video is actually no longer up. That was a decision I mostly made just to keep the channel just strictly to video essay stuff, and once I had more than one video up there, I felt like it was fine to just like private it. I might put it back up on the VODs channel at one point, maybe. Oh, also I'm noticing how the green screen makes the stars show up through my hair, and I didn't mind that. It was either that or keep a bit of a green silhouette, and it's like, well, you know, I got that black hair that reflects things that reflects actually pretty easily. So starry hair it is. I like it, honestly.
Every month on Twitch at Lily Polydora, we'll have this video beat by a good week or so. And for 2, this isn't actually a video about Voltron. Huh? See, when I sat down to rewatch Legendary Defender, I experienced a mild shock in the form of it being basically impossible to watch in its entirety legally anymore.
Oh yeah, basically whenever there's like a fucking song, it's like a fucking jazzy song. It's from Cowboy Bebop. It's Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. Also, I noticed that little. So this is again. This is the only video This video I did with Premiere, and fucking Premiere jank. I don't know. Trying to get movements to work just right. There were all sorts of little rendering errors like that, and could not be bothered to try and go back and make sure all of them were just fine. It looks fine in the play blast, and then you render it, and it looks kind of weird. Yeah, DaVinci Resolve, yes, but also like with the the lesson I learned from the Hitalia video is that if you just actually plan out every single shot and, you know, take your time with that you'll just the editing just goes a lot easier. And also there's more excuses for me to like do a bunch of drawing, and it takes fucking forever, but I think it looks better. It's ironic because we'll get to the Hitalia video when we get to it, but that one was supposed to be my quick short video, and that's not what happened in the end.
It's not on Netflix. Prime only lets you buy some of the seasons, and good luck getting any DVDs. But you know what I did have a DVD of? I had gotten this nearly a year ago from FYE. It was still in its plastic shrink wrap and everything. No, I do not want to talk about how worrying it is that a show from 1984 is more accessible to watch than one from 2016. So I decided to lean in, turn this one off into a proper deep dive, and starting with the original series just made sense.
Also, so every time my eyes dart to the corner, it's because I'm looking at the script, by the way. I feel like the first time I watched myself back, I felt like I was doing it a lot, like way too much. But I think actually now I'm not too bothered by it. Now I'm just like, oh, I did my makeup nice that day, and it's all working. I got my red outfit. The idea also is, by the way, to have a different outfit color for each paladin for talking about each show. I think I'm gonna probably do yellow for the next one. That was my idea, but I had like my one super red outfit here. My whole it's a whole ass Adidas dress, actually. It's very cool.
I did what I usually did when committing myself to watching the.
I'm glad you like the vibes, J-Pad. I like the vibes too.
I asked my incredibly normal friends very nicely to watch this show with me in a way that is legally distinct from coercion. We got about half an episode in. Now, hold it! Now, all 5 of you OG Voltron fans out there, before you start waving your walkers at me, give me a chance to clarify.
I got mean to the older Gen Xers here. I got mean. I'm okay with that.
That's not me saying your precious fave is bad. Frankly, I still haven't seen enough of it to make that kind of judgment. But I do plan to, probably as my very next video. Honestly,
they deserve it.
Train wreck. Well, we'll get to it. But the main—
you know what? In all fairness, all my nicer teachers have been Gen Xers. In all fairness.
The main reason we didn't get much further than that is, well, we were confused. And somehow I got more distracted than I already was. See, the first few minutes of Voltron Defender of the Universe throws a lot of nouns at the viewer. Zarkon, Space Pirate, Galaxy Garrison. It's a lot to take in, and even if you're familiar with some of this lore through the new adaptation like I was, you might still find yourself straining to keep up, like I did. The first few minutes is edited at such a breakneck pace you'd think Sonic was the target demographic, and I'll explain further what I mean on that in the next video. All you have to know—
listen, I've now watched about half of Legendary Defender. I've stalled on like actually trying to sit down and finish it multiple times at this point. It's it's so bad. It's so fucking bad. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate that I've made myself do this. I will finish it eventually, but only so I can actually just like it absolutely does not get better. My goal is to one day be able to finish it so that way I can move on to one of the other Voltron shows because they all look interesting actually. And of course I'm happy to rewatch the newest one. The DreamWorks Netflix one.
Is that my head was hurting, and I did what I usually did when I'm confused. I turned to Wikipedia.
Ah, there it is.
Hey, wait a minute. Okay, I'm playing it up for effect here. In case you know nothing about Voltron, in which case, hi, I love you. One of the first things you learn upon entering the fandom is the fact that it was originally adapted from the anime called Yakuju o GoLion, aka the King of 100 Beasts GoLion, aka Beast King GoLion. Well, kind of adapted. It's essentially a proto 4Kids dub done by World Events Production, also known as WEP. Depending on who you ask in the fandom, and one of my sources here is a now deleted Reddit post, so take this with a grain of salt, it's either a relatively faithful adaptation with a few changes here and there in order to please the comparatively more conservative American broadcasters, or it has a script so wildly different that it could be said that the American writers didn't even bother to look at the Japanese script. Guess which of those takes got deleted? By my
But funny enough, yeah, I was actually really sad about that. That I saw this Reddit post that sent me on this journey essentially because they were talking about how GoLion had nothing in common with Legendary Defender or Defender of the Universe. Fuck, I probably made that mistake several times already. These names are so fucking confusing. Anyway, this post sent me on this journey, and I'm so mad that I didn't screenshot the post when I saw it. Also, great pause frame here. I'm so sad and so mad at myself for not having for not having like screenshotted it, because it completely disappeared by the time I actually went around with during the research portion of this. It's completely deleted, and considering I mostly found out that what they said wasn't true, it makes sense. The pilot would have you think that it's very different, but once you go further than that, it's honestly like yeah, they're the same show. It's just it's a dub. It's a dub. It's a dub that takes liberties, you know, but it's a dub.
Estimations, the truth is somewhere in the middle, but the latter was so funny I had to see for myself. So let's actually take another look at that wiki page. I mean, talk about the series. Look at the wiki page. GoLion was created by Toei Animation, the studio probably most well known for making One Piece, and the studio probably most likely to make my life a living hell by giving me a copyright strike and killing my channel in its cradle. It aired from 1981 to 1982 and had a total of 52 episodes. This is actually less than half of what Defender of the Universe would air, that count coming in at a
Fun fact, in order to get this nice clean version of the logo, I just ended up having to actually trace over the logo. There was no good there was like no good version available on the internet, or like even just screenshotting like from the anime itself. It was all like there's no way I could get one that was a good 1080p. It was impossible. So I just I was just like, I'm gonna make it myself, fuck it. to prove to those just how much I'm aware that the title is GoLion. I had to copy it out myself.
whopping 124. Wait, what? 4Kids may have created a weird 4th of July TV spot using their dubbed characters, but they weren't usually inventing episodes whole cloth. While that second Redditor may have been exaggerating a bit, the spirit of what they're saying isn't completely off. The plot of Defender of the Universe is quite different from the one found in GoLion, and okay, say it with me now, we'll get to it in the next video, but the basics is that this involved editing so heavy that it invented certain plot lines whole cloth, though that's not even the half of it. according to Defender of the Universe producer Ted Koppler.
The demand for more Lion Force episodes was incessant, but Toei had only made 52, and stations were running them to death. We ultimately produced 24 additional episodes from scratch to meet this demand.
And suddenly, the numbers start to add up. Mostly. I got a B in high school calculus, but I'm pretty sure 52 and 24 don't equal 124. The math makes a bit more sense when you consider that the 124 episode count includes Vehicle Force. It was a spin-off series of Defender of the Universe that aired concurrently to the second season. This was adapted from a wholly separate Toei production, Armored Fleet Dairugger 15, which I have promised myself under pain of death I will not watch for the sake of this series.
There's also a lot of the scenes that are, I don't think I mentioned this here. If I do, I'll probably mention it like 5 seconds. But there were several scenes in Legendary Defender that, no, Defender of the Universe, fuck. In Defender of the Universe, there's several scenes in there that are not, like not just from Vehicle Force, but just that are, you know, in the original run that, aren't from GoLion, and those are also taken from Dairugger. I believe it was like weirdly hard to actually like track down exactly where some of those clips were from. I think I even ended up having to do a little bit of like reverse image searching. I think they mentioned it in an interview somewhere also, but it's one of those details that had a hard time actually being able to prove. Though I don't know, maybe it's listed in some wiki somewhere that I skimmed. Who knows?
Unless someone really wants me to, for some reason. Donate to me at patreon.com/GoFund. The number counts.
I'll make that joke 5 more times. It's not even my joke, by the way.
Numerous reasons, including Koppler just misremembered
Stole it from Hazel.
in the interview. With that, I could finally. Wait, what was this video about again? Spoiler warning, obviously. I have to go tell you to watch the show yourself and support the official release and yada yada yada, but honestly, I am wholly uninterested in giving you, the viewer, any kind of worthwhile recommendation. Also, I don't think I actually know if you should watch it or not. GoLion is a classic anime with a lot of historical value with respect to its place in classic sci-fi and mecha anime. It's the type of show that a good essayist could probably make at least a few worthwhile videos on. I also think it's not very good, so there's your thesis statement, I guess. Good historical value, terrible watch. Just like a college textbook. Jesus Christ, this is gonna be bad.
I do love my Full Metal Alchemist music. I'm just thinking, anything else I can comment on, like comment through that? I think I mostly said my piece already. Don't watch it. Don't watch this video. Don't watch this video. Don't watch GoLion. No value whatsoever unless you're an absolute freak.
Picture this. It's the far-off, distant future. 5 human astronauts have returned home after a long voyage only to find it completely and utterly destroyed. Thanks to the Cold War getting a bit out of hand, humanity has destroyed itself in nuclear Armageddon, and these 5 remaining humans, the last of their kind as far as they know, find themselves the perfect targets for the evil Galra Empire.
Torn in between saying that I'm not enunciating myself enough or thinking that it's mostly fine. I think I'm mostly understandable, but also I'm hearing myself, so I know how I say things. I know my how exactly my weird fucking mumbling works, but so I hope no one else feels lost listening to. Also, yeah, occasionally the audio balance was off. I was watching the one clip of the intro, especially. I felt like that was quiet.
They are captured and enslaved by these strange warlike aliens, but only for like a little bit. Before they can be sent to the gladiator ring or the gulags, they manage to break free, fleeing to the nearby Altea, where they meet the lovely Princess Fala, as well as her attendant rival. It's here at her castle, a building standing at the intersection of medieval architecture and an 80s animator's idea of futuristic tech, that these young heroes learn to harness the power of the ancient superweapon known as GoLion. Because if they can't protect the weary and beaten people of Altea from the evil Emperor Daibazal, No one will. That's just the plot, though.
I'm patting myself on the back here because I feel like that epic Full Metal Alchemist music works like a little too well. It works a little too well. It's also better than a lot of the music. GoLion. It works very well. Epic fantasy, political intrigue, sci-fi, etc., etc.
Hardly why most kids tuned in to watch every week. No, they were in it for the badass mech. The gimmick of GoLion is right there in the name. Go means 5 in Japanese. It's why Speed Racer drives the Mach 5. It's the Mach Go. It's a pun. The mech is called 5 Lions because he's 5 lions in a trench coat, basically. Also, the transformation sequence is, like, really, really cool. What can I say? I'm not completely heartless. The pilots for these 5 lions are Akira Kogane, aka Chief the Red One and pilot of the Black Lion. Takashi Shirogane, aka Quiet, the Black One and the pilot of the Blue Lion?
You know what? I think you know J-Ben, but for the sake of posterity, I'll mention that also getting all these nice clean PNGs was also quite a lot of trouble because I mostly was just like downloading design documents or just screenshots and carving them out myself. It's occasionally they look slightly fucked up because I was just doing it on my computer. I think if I was doing it now, I probably would have done it on my iPad so that way I could do it like literally by hand. There's some little errors here and there.
Hiroshi Suzuishi, aka Shorty the Green One and pilot of the Green Lion, thank God. Tsuyoshi Sato, aka Hothead the Yellow One and pilot of the Yellow Lion. And finally, Isamu Kurogane, aka Moody the Blue One and pilot of the Red Lion. Maybe I'm the only one on the planet that cares.
I like peeking the mic, it's fun.
That the colors of the suits don't match the mechs, enough so that I dedicated like a day to just search through Japanese forums to see if I could find anything about it. I didn't, but I do have a theory that for the sake of organization, I'll get to some unspecified time later. For now, just try to remember the names and faces of this dollar store Skittles squad. GoLion is your classic Monster of the Week show. An average episode usually hits these points. The bad guys plot in their evil lair, the heroes go about their business, princess's girl. Suddenly, they're attacked by a death black beastman, a terrible creature made from occult death science magic. It's the scariest thing you've ever seen, but of course our heroes defeat it. The day is saved, roll credits, rinse and repeat. There are some overarching plots, but the episode-to-episode experience has
I continue to like add different soundtracks to my little library that I have on my computer. Undertale's a fun one, of course, but I think the next one is the one Homestuck track that I snuck in there, so enjoy that.
There's very little serialization at play. The characters as presented don't evolve much past their initial Stark archetypes, and as my cheeky summary implies, it's the villains that drive most of the plot forward. There's Emperor Daibazal, the Witch Honerva, and General Sadak, though he goes away relatively early, being replaced by the infinitely more interesting and...
Who's Baby Girl?
by Prince Sincline.
Had to give Baby Girl a bit of a spotlight. I'm gonna go feral for him when we reach the Netflix show. I'm gonna like I'm gonna start behaving badly, actually.
He's cool, I guess. We'll discuss the plot more later, but for now, this is what you need to know to keep up with these insane ramblings I've decided to call a video essay. I'm a firm believer in paying tribute to the people who make the shows we watch. This stuff doesn't show up on our TVs by magic, but I get it. Watching credits is boring. It's why most Americans don't even bother to do so with the theaters. I wanted to spice up this section by talking a bit about projects these guys have worked on that you may be familiar with.
It's actually an interesting thing, though. If you go to other countries, you'll actually find that, most other countries tend to actually sit through the credits. We're over here, if you do that, and it's not a fucking Marvel movie, you're kind of a weirdo. Marvel movies trained us to start doing that, I think, but we're in the minority. That is kind of wild, though, because that is, I've actually also heard, people who work at theaters in America saying that Marvel movies are inconvenient because it gives them actually a lot less time than they would like in order to clean up the theater after a crowd is left. So I guess it's like built into the structure.
But the thing is, if there's anything in these guys' filmography that you recognize, chances are it's GoLion. Director Katsuhiko Taguchi, if IMDb can be believed, and it has been spotty in the past, has worked on some tokusatsu shows, like the original Kamen Rider, as well as a handful of episodes on that Japanese Spider-Man show that no one in the West has actually seen, even though we all share memes about it constantly. GoLion was one of 2 anime the man ever worked on, as far as I can tell. Mech designer Katsushi Murakami seems to have had a decent career, but not in anime, so I don't care. He's worked as a toy designer with Bandai for a long time, being hired onto the project due to his mech design in Future Robot Deltanius, another Toei production. Actually, looking at the 2 mechs side by side, it's pretty clear Toei were ripping themselves off here. Murakami's involvement in production seems minimal.
I think this is where I start getting creative with the editing, and I feel like it's actually pretty fun to watch this part. I like that I'm in a different corner of the frame every fucking time.
Minimal at best after that. He really just seems like the guy that drew the big robot and left. And as we established, it's a really cool robot, so honest, big dick move there. The fact that the mech was basically designed out of house is actually really important to my theory about why the colors of the pilots don't match, so, like, put a pin in it for me, please. Kazuo Nakamura, now going by Kazuo Takigawa, was the character designer, and is probably the most interesting figure we can discuss here, albeit not for his character designs. These designs are still really good though, don't get me wrong. Here, I'll even... First, my personal bias. I like character design, so it's a topic I can talk about a lot easier than, let's say, the soundtrack. Masahisa Takeichi, those songs are still stuck in my head, and you will be receiving my therapy bill in the mail the second I figure out how international mail works, but please excuse me while I yap. I have a lot of love for the pilot designs. Let's put aside that Fala is a Sleeping Beauty knockoff so blatant that Disney should have probably sent Toei a cease and desist. The shape language, the color blocking, the distinct... Disney should have probably sent Toei a cease and desist.
I'm so fucking proud of this edit, and I wish more people noticed it. I wish more people noticed it. I've considered just like, I have the PNG somewhere. I really should just save it and like, I don't know, leak it somewhere on the internet. Put it somewhere on some alt account and just see if it spreads. See if people share it. I want this to become the dominant image of Fala on the internet.
The shape language, the color blocking, the distinctiveness of the facial features, these designs pass every test I can personally think of. I also just have a soft spot for the 80s anime aesthetic, so there. Akira Kogane's look is so iconic and perfect that during my early research, I managed to Mandela effect myself into thinking that I had seen it somewhere else before. The black mullet, red racing suit combo was so good I started assuming it must have come from some 70s movie that I had seen that I just hadn't remembered the name of. And
I think in my brain I just accidentally fused him with like the main character from Akira. That's my assumption now, but who knows, maybe I'll stumble across it one day and I'll have my aha moment and I'll post 5 different photos of it on the Discord for you to see.
no, as far as I can tell, the design is original. Also, he seems to be named after the character designer's brother, Akira Nakamura, which I think is sweet. I was able to find the design inspiration for Takashi Shirogane, however. I'm maybe 80% sure that Bruce Lee from Fist of Fury had some influence here, and if the homage was intentional, it was translated incredibly well. Isamu Kurogane has a face that is distinctive yet maintains harmony with the rest of the cast. I know
Or like an animated character with a weird face, what can I say? Also yeah, this was my I need to be nice about this show section, and like while I look back on it less and less fondly, I do agree that talented people worked on it, and I do like the character designs. I think there's a reason why this show keeps on coming back, and if it weren't for the character designs being as good as they were, I don't think it would I don't think the franchise would have stuck the way it has. Because yeah, you can definitely see all the threads of Legendary Defender like starting here.
One of the first bits of advice I got as
People
a young
love those
artist
fucking
was
characters.
specificity, using something from real life rather than just reaching for the most obvious cookie-cutter design choice. That principle is definitely being followed here. Hiroshi Suzuishi's stupid green cowboy outfit quickly became one of my favorite things in the entire show. It's so dumb, makes no sense in context, and somehow took me several episodes to start to question it. Like, why is a 4'0" astronaut wearing lime green line dancing gear?
I honestly can't decide if I part of me kind of wants to own that cowboy suit. I'm not gonna lie, but also I feel like if I did, I would never wear it because, like, objectively, this would look awful on anyone. Yes, there's no there's no world in which a human can wear that and look good.
No, I love it. It's also worth mentioning that while the ages of all the cast are a bit ambiguous, Suzuishi is the only one that works visually as either a child or just a short adult, and this often gets used to the show's advantage. Many of Suzuishi's plots, more so as the show goes along, center around kid-centric storylines with the clear intention of relating directly to their young viewer base. An episode will come where Suzuishi goes to a haunted house with local Altean children, and it will be right next to one where he mows down dozens of Galra soldiers. The character occupies this ageless space in a way that I think is not only appealing for a young audience, is smart as hell from a writing perspective. Finally, well, I actually don't have much to say about Tsuyoshi Seido. Yeah, this is the one design that I'm not very fond of. An attempt was made to make a character that was a bit of a bigger guy, at least compared to the anime twins he's staged with, but it wasn't a very good attempt. It kind of just looks like they took the basic body type this show has and stretched it sideways. Seeing him without a shirt, he looks so weirdly skinny, it makes me actively uncomfortable. It's clear the animators didn't know how to draw this body type, and yeah, I'll say it, I didn't like his color palette. Happy. So that's what makes Kazuo Takigawa so interesting to talk about. Wait, no, that's the... Okay, technically Takigawa wasn't involved directly in any court case.
The whole lawsuit saga was really what brought the whole video together, in my opinion. Became more or less what the video was about by the end. I'm very glad that I managed to stumble across just any kind of story to make this whole saga kind of interesting. It's also one of those sagas that I included it, but I included it knowing that it's a little hard to corroborate at times. I think the most reliable source I found talking about it was like Anime News Network, and I consider that to be a publication of middling to maybe kind of poor reliability. It wouldn't be my first choice as far as like it wouldn't be my first choice as far as like going to a trying to source an actual news story. Which is I think why I end up adding the qualifier of like take everything with a grain of salt. This is all mostly just kind of hearsay, cause it really is. There's like actually I think a pretty high chance that things don't go down quite the way I claimed here in this video. This is just the best, like, this is just the version of the story that I was able to glean from what I had read.
Well, kind of. He didn't show up in court as far as I can tell, but you know who did? Good old Toei. Yeah, that's right. All my talk about Toei and copyright was a clever setup. This is the payoff, baby! Here's a certainly unrelated question, however. Remember back when literally everyone was making live-action movie remakes of their 80s properties?
That's still happening.
Though the bowel movement known as Michael Bay's Transformers would make like $1 bajillion, not every nostalgia-soaked children's toy.
I will continue to always be angry at the at Michael Bay Transformers. No one will ever stop me from being salty at that. Till my dying breath.
We get its time in the sun during this period. For example, He-Man. You probably don't remember Master of the Universe, a movie that came out right on the heels of its fabulous animated run. It was so ahead of its time, it made no money whatsoever. It's also real bad and basically scared off anyone from doing another He-Man film ever again. You know, in all seriousness, though, it's weird that there wasn't even an attempt with Voltron, right? The toys may not have sold to Transformers or He-Man levels, but they must have sold decent enough, right? Well, that was a long time ago. Getting figures for that kind of thing is difficult, and I'm sure you don't want to. Did you know that the license to produce tiny plastic replicas of 5 lions has been passed around more times than the town bicycle? Look at the timeline and you'll see that most licensing periods often last for a year at most, which isn't typical for this space. Think of Star Wars, who over all this time has only changed hands once from Key.
I think actually two things came to mind here. But it was stewing in my brain. One, I think that He-Man, the like one shot of like shitty AI Skeletor was something from some like fake trailer I pulled from YouTube or something. I think that got conflated with some news that I was looking into of like an actual possible live action He-Man that they were talking about. I don't think that's actually gonna. I don't think it's anything's concrete, uh, but yeah. Also, that whole toy timeline that I go by real fast. I did like a lot of reading about a lot of different toy companies. A lot of it thanks to the wiki. Honestly, thanks to the Voltron wiki, which again consider to be kind of dubious source, but but there's not too many other options as far as English speaking sources go. And I guess I got to be thankful about some of their archival efforts. Also, like from the actual toy collector websites that I actually searched through later on, I couldn't find anything they said that was like nothing that they said I managed to contradict. So I'm going with the assumption that it's like pretty right for now.
To Hasbro, and that was just because Hasbro ate Keener whole. Now, I'm not sure why every change of hands in the Voltron toy line happened, but thanks again to the Voltron wiki, as well as a Consumer Product Safety Commission report with numerous typos, by the way. By the way, this is the only reason I'm making you watch this. I had to try and decipher this fucking report. I'm not letting that work go to waste. We know pretty definitively why the first one happened. The first company that produced toys for WEP was Matchbox, a company that got eaten by Mattel whole. This partnership, the one with WEP and Matchbox, you get the idea, started in 1984 and ended the very next year in 1985 when their newest shipment was found to have, to use the language of the report, levels of lead which are higher than that which is allowed by law. Let me remind you, this is the 80s. I don't even want to know how much lead must have been in there.
The whole toy thing, the whole toy scandal was fun. I thought this one at least I could corroborate from multiple sources because it's hard to fake a consumer safety report. So that felt like striking gold when I saw that, even though the report's a mess.
A massive number of products were recalled, and we actually know the exact amount, or we would if the report wasn't worded so badly.
Approximately 203,000 complete sets and 424,000
J-Ben, it's you!
Voltron Lions, and 866,000 miniature Voltron Lions. The deluxe Voltron Lion set sold for approximately $60 to $90. The miniature Voltron Lion sold for approximately $12 to $15.
Matchbox produced a few different types of Voltron toys, with 3 being relevant. The deluxe Lion set, the one where you could combine and separate the lions, were $60 to $90. The paired deluxe lions with the black lion sold separately, price not listed, and the
chonky of a boy he
Voltron,
is.
already combined and unable to be separated, retailing for $12 to $15. If you thoroughly lowball it, even assuming that the paired lions weren't a part of the recall at all, you come to a projected loss of $22 million, accounting for inflation. That's $63 million today. And okay, that sounds like a lot of money to you and me, sure, but these are toy makers. Matchbox is a subsidiary of Mattel, who pocketed $5 billion this last year. In 1984, according to a UPI article, they made around $880 million. Adjusted for inflation, that's $2 billion today. That makes the loss, what, 2.75% of their revenue? Paltry. Well, WEP must have agreed because they kept on trucking and continued selling the toys all throughout Voltron's run. A definitive sales number it is not, but it is a decent indication that they were doing real well, considering they were basically a brand new company at the time. What can't be denied is that at one point, people bought these toys. Children played with them and had fond memories of them. Companies have certainly tried to make films off less. I mean, Mattel's talking about a Magic 8-Ball movie, for God's sake. There was a time when a Voltron movie would have made sense.
That Magic 8-Ball movie actually comes out. I'll be shocked if it does. That screams doomed for the cutting room floor if I ever saw one.
So why didn't they? Save those well actually comments or delete any you may have made already because, spoiler alert, they tried to. Go to the right forums or blogs, ones
A little twirl. Also, it's not blatantly obvious. I'm fucking tired. We're gonna truck on though. God, I need to get up, drink some tea, do some. I was recording. I was doing more recording earlier today. My fault. My bad.
dated around 2007 to 2008, and you might find some people talking with cautious optimism about a reported live-action Voltron movie. WEP saw what happened with Transformers and wanted to cash in, going forward to sign a deal with New Regency, that company that used to be owned by Fox that's now owned by Disney. It turns out, though, it didn't exactly ask Toei beforehand. Already at this point, Toei and WEP weren't quite seeing eye to eye. I'll get into it more with the discussion of Voltron, the third dimension, but this wasn't their first time seeing each other in court. Some of the details change depending on who you ask, but the parts everyone agrees on is that a suit in 1999 ended with Toei selling WEP the animation rights for future Voltron adaptations. Toei argued in 2008 that this sale did not include the film rights. Now, I'm no copyright scientist. I've made a joke or two about Toei being scarily protective of their copyright while ignoring a touch of copyright infringement in their own show, but that has little to do with whether they have a legal right to money over this proposed film adaptation. And let's be honest, they probably do. That's an easy problem to solve, right? They solved it last time, no problem anyway, and WEP has made a ton of animated shows since then. But a recalled toy money should get this settled. No! See, this is where Takigawa comes back into the picture. New Regency, already frustrated by the turn of events, launched an investigation to see if Toei had a legal leg to stand on, and they found that, amongst other things, rights still held by the character designer of all people posed a potential hurdle. At this point, New Regency hadn't even signed a deal formally, so they backed out without so much as a buy your leave, abandoning WEP's plans for a lucrative film on the cutting room floor. What happened to the lawsuit after that?
Yeah, the whole legal tug of war that happened there is interesting. I'm not convinced that Takigawa wasn't just brought up as, like, to me that kind of feels like an excuse, right? It wasn't like he was ever actually personally involved in the lawsuit. I doubt they ever even spoke to him. It was just kind of used it as an example, like, oh, because the rights are so entangled, then that means it can't go through. And I doubt they ever even contacted him when they finally managed to untangle it, which is how you got the rest of the shows eventually. I don't know. Voltron, the rights surrounding Voltron have always seemed kind of complicated, and because I think that's also, like, similar complications, though I don't think involving Toei directly, is also what led to it not being able to be on Netflix right now, or maybe ever again. I don't know. It just kind of seems like what happens when American copyright meets Japanese copyright, both of which are complicated and stupid, but oftentimes for very opposite reasons. For very different reasons, I mean.
History does not relate. For a long while, I was at least convinced that this meant no live-action film could ever happen, but something must have, because, oops, I've hidden something from you again. WEP tried again, this time with Amazon, and it's actually looking like this movie might come out, possibly by the end of this year, considering they've already started filming. Now, in today's very good and normal film landscape, it's possible something will come up and the film will get canceled, but I find myself cautiously optimistic. I'm sure I'll at least end up doing a video on it if they ever manage to release it, so, like, subscribe and stuff.
I actually just looked it up again just to see if there's anything about, like, when they're actually releasing it, because they were talking about filming back when I was doing the research for this, like, way earlier this year. They have to be done with the filming by now, but there has been no, like, I don't think they've so much as released, like, a trailer. I'm seeing one video that's saying that they're doing test screenings, so maybe they're trying to pin down the final edit. I don't know, but I was originally kind of confident that it would come out by the end of 2025. I now will be surprised if it comes out at all. I think once again I'm back there.
Yeah, this was a video about an anime at some point, wasn't it? We should probably get back to that, because despite my love of yapping about precious context, this video isn't just meant to be a history lesson about how capitalism is bad. Despite my moaning, this show has some merit.
All my videos are history lessons about how capitalism is bad. You should know that by now.
Especially in respect to the way it approaches genre and genre fusion. Also, this show can be kinda beautiful. GoLion lives at the intersection of 3 genres, fantasy, mecha, and Super Sentai, and these come together to form a unique and appealing identity. So let's test my genre savvy and go over the high points of this series, because when we get to the low points, we'll get to them. One of the
Font for the fantasy thing?
we'll get to them.
The Lord of the Rings font that I happen to have downloaded on my computer. Thought it was fitting. One time I shook up the font on this video. I think it was worth it.
One of the easiest pieces of art to compare GoLion to is probably Star Wars, in the way that it combines elements of science fiction and fantasy. I made the comparison, others in the Discord server made the comparison. It's kind of obvious if you're just taking into account broader plot points. It has an evil empire, a group of ragtag heroes, a princess that shoots people to death, as well as an underpinning of religious mysticism to the lore. But these comparisons are mostly superficial. Star Wars tries to tell a fantasy epic through a sci-fi lens, but GoLion really exists in the realm of the fairy tale, a Disney fairy tale to be exact. It's no coincidence that Princess Cease and Desist is here. In between the slave rebellions, ecological disasters, and other slave rebellions, there are talking mice, a castle, a prince, princesses, and witches. Even the visuals seem to be reinforcing this, and this time I'm not talking about Princess Cease. There's a lot to be said about the backgrounds here, and the general sensibilities of anime backgrounds in general. I highly recommend Hazel's video, The Anime Countryside, if you're interested in
Glad I put a little, again, rendering issues out the wazoo. Premiere completely betrayed me in this case, but I'm glad I included a little link there.
exploring this deeper, but most of what you need to understand is that the soft watercolor backgrounds that can often be found in anime like GoLion are a result of early Disney influence. GoLion doesn't technically do anything special here, but the way it depicts forests as well as the outside shots of the castle feels as if it's leaning into this influence. I admit, I could be reading into things a bit, but there was a moment when I saw the princess and a group of women gathering berries where I thought, dang, that's kinda. Beautiful. And I guess that's all it has to be for me to get my point across here. The GoLion team attempts to fuse the comfortable, idyllic world of the Disney fairy tale with a dark sci-fi story about all the ugliest aspects of war, and it's effective. Well, okay, it doesn't work every time, but it swings for the fences, and I appreciate that in itself. It had me even.
I think the main idea that I'm trying to say here is, I don't know if I ever actually got around to it, but just this idea that while I dislike the show itself, I think I liked what it was like going for at the end of the day. I saw the influences, I saw kind of what it was aiming for, and could imagine a version that like actually succeeded in what it set out to do, and I liked that show that I spawned in my head just then, you know? Even if the actual thing, moment to moment, was kind of a miserable experience.
Starting to forgive the sillier aspects of the show. Like, maybe these elements are load-bearing and I'm just too smooth-brained to see it. Did I find the Mice Mecha episode stupid at the time? Yeah. Does it enhance the veritable war epic that follows? Probably not, but removing the mice entirely would make it not GoLion anymore. Okay. I've watched
I misspelled mecha. J-Ben saw that I misspelled mecha. I think he pointed it out. I misspelled mecha. Let's pretend it was intentional. It wasn't.
a mecha show or two. I kind of know what I'm talking about here. I at least know enough about mecha to understand that whenever someone says something along the lines of X mecha show was so deep because it subverts the mecha formula of being all dark and stuff, that
Also, I don't want to be one of those creators that scrubs all their old videos from the platform just because they cringe now. I want to be beyond that. I want to these videos should remain as is for the sake of public record. I don't know. For archival purposes, truly.
Yeah, that person is probably talking out of their ass. The bread and butter of Mecha has been serious war stories since Mobile Suit Gundam did it in like 1979, and everyone on the planet has been copying their homework ever since that debuted and made like $1 billion, or yen. GoLion is not special in this regard. It too attempts to tell a serious mecha war story in the style of Gundam, with less child soldiers, but still a few notably, and more focus on the ways in which normal people can and do suffer under the Empire. But that's not what set it apart in my eyes. It is, by my estimation, maybe the darkest sci-fi war in an anime I've seen since Iron-Blooded Orphans ripped out my heart and fed it to me. Impossible, you might be saying, assuming you've seen it. And I'll agree with you, on some level there. GoLion does not reach the emotional heights that Iron-Blooded Orphans does, but it more than makes up for that in what the kids these days call edge.
Psh, nothing personnel, kid.
GoLion is one of those shows that probably needs a content warning or two. I won't get into every
My stupid clips. I like my stupid clips. I try and keep a little folder of clips that tickle me. Clips that one's very high within that folder.
reason as to why. The worst of it is mostly done by implication. Now, I would rather not ruin this video by paying too much attention to a genuinely minor element, but I will say with confidence that if it aired unedited on American television today, there's some chance it would rightfully earn a TVMA rating. There's guts and gore galore. It touches upon and takes seriously topics like slavery and genocide. The Crunchyroll subtitle track keeps on inserting swear.
Well, Jolteon, I'm actually just reacting to my own videos for this month. Just wanted to go through them and just kind of talk about the process and so on and so forth. I'm not really a general reaction channel. Though I will be streaming every day this month, mostly doing some book club stuff, some video games, things like that.
Swear words in a way that I found genuinely funny.
It's alright,
They
it's
kept on
alright.
translating the Japanese
Glad to have
insult
ya.
Yaro as son of a bitch. Now, the word Yaro is actually a pretty versatile insult. Son of a bitch is a potential translation, sure, but it's kind of weird when even the princess can be seen saying it. And listen, I'm a has-been hotel apologist. I don't mind a swear word.
I do absolutely adore that the princess says son of a bitch. It's one of those things with the Crunchyroll version that I think is kind of funny, right? And they actually label it as TVMA. They label GoLion as TVMA, but that's as far as I understand, their stuff isn't really beholden to the same system. I think that's like them self-labeling it. And that's them self-labeling it at least partially from their own translation that they do of the show. I just think it's funny. I saw this show with all the this show aimed at kids, but because it's Japanese kids, it has like guts and gore and such in it sometimes, and then they throw in the son of a bitches just for laughs, just for giggles. Hit it with an R rating, why not?
Or 20, but when onna, a mild pejorative for a woman in Japanese, is translated as bitch, I start to feel like you're reaching a little bit.
Actually, the whole thing translating onna as bitch. I ever since I wrote that, I've actually started noticing other anime doing that now and again. It is sometimes an appropriate translation, but it is very strong. Yeah, it's kind of just calling someone like in Japanese, the literal word for woman is like onna no hito, right? So onna is just the shortened form. So like onna no hito literally means like a woman, a female person, or like a woman person. So shortening it to onna, it makes it incredibly rude. Japanese oftentimes, whenever you shorten something, that often will just automatically make it very impolite. But it just still means woman. It's still actually just the kanji for woman, just without the qualifier at the end. But still, like, it has the cultural context of it being very rude. So yeah, sometimes translators do translate it to bitch, but I think it's a little strong of a translation. That's just my unprofessional opinion, though.
But that's really just a translation nitpick, hardly an indictment on the show itself. And again, it's kind of funny. Concerning said show, I oscillate between viewing these edgier elements as being tasteless and unnecessary, or pushing the boundaries of acceptability in an interesting way. To stay generous for this section at least, I'll point out that the darker elements do seem to be well considered at times. For all the horrible shit the Altean people get put through, equal time is often spent showing them trying to recover, sometimes in ways I haven't seen much in other shows. One of my favorite episodes opens with the heroes building a soccer field for the citizens of Altea. We see everyone in the community pitching in, coming together in order to build something that will just make themselves happy. It's sappy, but I mean, they're building infrastructure for themselves, right? That's what's going on here. They're taking concerted efforts to physically recover from what was done to them, and I think that's really neat for a show basically made to melt the brains of 9-year-old Japanese boys. It also
I will say, one of my least favorite things about Defender of the Universe has been its removal of a lot of that, because in general, it's a translation that really tries and softens the material, right? Like, not only do they cut around all the blood and guts and such, but they also, like, really tone down some of the, like, harsh aspects of war. But it kind of ends, like, all that leads to is it just leads to them removing a lot of the content that I actually just found compelling, right? Like, I think GoLion is deeply mediocre, but I like what it's attempting to do as far as a war story goes. Defender of the Universe is mediocre and has cut out just whatever bare aspect I liked of it. So, yeah, it's not that I doubt that review's gonna come out very positive.
also be that 9-year-old Japanese boys just really like soccer. Shh. I'm trying to say something profound here. Wait, this is the mecha section. I had forgotten to mention anything about the mech. I like that the 5 robot turned into 1. That's cool. Listen, I don't know what to tell you here. You guys have eyes. GoLion looks cool. Let's move on before I spontaneously combust. I'm going to be real here. I know very little about Super Sentai as a genre. I might just end up embarrassing myself here, but even I recognize.
Actually, recently, a video about Super Sentai came across my feed, like a 4-hour video discussing oh my god, which guy? Who was the not Ultraman, the Kamen Rider. So discussing Kamen Rider. I bounced out about a third of the way through the video just because I think Super Sentai is just not for me, actually. I found it all kind of boring. And that's definitely a weakness on my part, not Super Sentai's part.
That it was an important element and that it'd be weird not to discuss it. If you've made it this far into the video, I promise you know what Super Sentai is, but just in case for you non-Nihongo Jozu Americans watching, remember Power Rangers? Yeah, it's that. Teens with attitude dress up as color-coded superheroes who fight aliens in rubber costumes. It's Power Rangers. Funny thing though, I never watched Power Rangers growing up, so that's how little knowledge I'm starting with here. I considered watching.
I had a girlfriend for a brief period of time who actually did watch Power Rangers growing up. And she was basically my window into the genre. She's the reason why I know anything whatsoever about it.
A few classic Super Sentai shows for the sake of this video, but I had already breached my self-prescribed deadline by like a month. It was starting to look doubtful that this video would even come out March this year, and so I took the easy way out. TV Tropes has now become a primary source for this video. My college professor would be so proud. I'm glad I did at least that.
Listen, TV Tropes is not the worst source on this video. This is in retrospect, that is acceptable.
Because GoLion is just a Super Sentai show, basically, from the silly aliens to the color-coded suits to the character archetypes attached to said suits. Red is the level-headed leader. Blue is the laid-back right-hand man who has a reputation of being a bit of a lancer. Yellow is the goofy one that eats a lot. Green is the little guy. Pink is girl. So yeah, pretty neat. I wish I had more to say here. Maybe someone with more knowledge on the topic could. This is the reason behind the colors being wrong. Yeah, that's right, we're doing this now! So remember what I had mentioned about GoLion being basically designed out of house? Murakami did a great job with it, maybe
I love this. I love this representation of the internal crash that I was having during the research period. I could not let go how the lion colors and the suit colors didn't match. I'm a simple person. What can I say? I just I just get very, very passionate about small discrepancies in the media I watch.
Too good of a job, honestly. The design is iconic, and especially from a color theory perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Black acts as the base color, being square in the middle, and other colors are built around it. Of course,
I didn't mention this, but I do like how with the red across the chest to the arm, it kind of makes it look like like armor, right? Like I'm trying to think of the exact armor piece that would represent, but it's very knight like. Yeah, it's very like a pauldron plus a chest piece that you get sometimes. I don't know. Doing a bad way. I'm doing a bad job articulating this, but I've seen it a lot in reference photos of armor that I've looked at.
black
That
acts
kind
as
of
the
look.
base color, being square in the middle, and other colors are built around it. Of course, it was intended from the beginning to be a combiner robot, which meant that almost certainly the Black Lion mech would be the leader as the literal head. In turn, it would have to be piloted by the leader. But somewhere along the line, perhaps also near the beginning, it was decided that the show would take heavy influence from the Super Sentai shows that were currently doing crazy numbers on Japanese television. They made the characters reflect these archetypes, and of course, had the colors match because you wouldn't want kids to get confused. Red is always the leader, after all. But the mecha design was so good, you couldn't just switch a color or two without messing it up, or worse, disrespecting the work Murakami put into it. So, they didn't. They kept it and settled for this. So that's my theory. Did I overhype it? Maybe a bit. I may be the only person on the planet who this bothers, but you will know the pain of my
I was very normal about this. It's incredibly normal.
I got a bit heated there. It happens.
It's barely an
The
exaggeration.
video has to be near finished anyway. I mean, what's there even left to talk about? Oh, this is the closest I'm gonna get to actually reviewing the show. Something that I didn't even intend to do when I had started watching, but
Listen, in all fairness, the review actually starting at the 30-minute mark isn't bad. My Has-Been Hotel script has the review starting at like the 25-page mark. So it'll be like a roughly double that time.
knew I would have to do by the time I had rolled credits for the last time. Like, I'd sunk so much energy into just finishing the damn thing that I knew I needed to get my feelings out about it somewhere. See, the show isn't very good. It's maybe good for what it is, a Saturday morning cartoon for young boys in the 80s, but I can't say I had a good time with it. Sometimes an episode touches on a topic so heavy it snaps under its own weight.
Sometimes it spends a whole episode of the talking mice fighting the evil cat, and the green one makes them a tiny mouse mech, and you just want to throw your PC into the sea, but you can't do that because you don't want to be one of those YouTubers that makes videos on shows they haven't even watched.
I may be getting ahead of myself here. I've alluded to some of these problems already. I've done my best in getting across the thesis that this show is historically interesting and worthy of analysis, that it even has artistic merit, but I cannot deny
I feel like just watching that actually gave me an idea for the edit for the Has-Been video. Wait, I need to write something down. Give me a second. Give me an idea. Give me an idea. Okay.
that the moment-to-moment watching experience is bad. And hey, I'm a Western cartoon fan. My quarantine show of choice was Ben 10. I can handle some scuff for the sake of a good overarching story.
Glad
and a
I
cool
found
fight now
that
and again.
screenshot.
The 52 episode count hardly scares me. I tried watching it in a few different contexts. I lowered the amount of episodes I would watch in one day, raised it, tried watching it alone, settled on watching it with others. I did everything short of attempt to watch it in its intended format at a pace of one a week. I promise I did my best to give it a fair shake, but no watch method in the world would change the fact that it's just so boring.
Well, I actually really don't like when I have to do a show at like 2x speed just for the sake of getting through it. I don't think that that's good for like actually good analysis, right? Like, have you even watched it at that point? But I also will openly admit to having done that a few times with GoLion, mostly towards the end of my watch binges when I am just begging for death. Same with Defender of the Universe. It happens sometimes. It's mostly why I don't know. I don't present these as like, no, I mean, I guess I do. Oh, whatever. Fuck it. This is different kind of analysis, different kind of flavor of video with these ones than the ones where it's something that I'm truly obsessed with. I've seen Has Been goddamn 5 times, and that one I think I can talk about with some level of expertise. I made this one with the expectation that there were just some things that I was going to miss or get wrong, etc., etc. Why there was so much actual like research, trying to compensate for that.
Slower methodical pacing that helped the first few episodes go down easy quickly became tiresome and meandering. By the time it started to get good around episode 47, when suddenly all the plots were happening at once and everything seems to come together, I just didn't have the energy to care anymore. If the plot was sprinkled more evenly throughout, this section might have ended up being written very differently, but here we are. This is actually a pretty common criticism when it comes to older serialized shows like this, because largely this was how they would be structured. They'd have their gimmick that could go on to the end of time, would plant bits of lore that could be brought back to reward loyal viewers, and once they knew cancellation was on the horizon, they could slap together a finale that satisfied all the plots well enough. Show done. I can respect that, honestly. And I doubt the people who made GoLion could imagine that some pedant on the internet would watch every single episode in the span of a week just to complain about an issue that's more a result of the reality of broadcast television. But, and stop me if I'm saying something insane here, are you, the person watching this video, actually going to watch this show 1 episode a week as the TV gods intended? Is there even a remote possibility that anyone watching this video may have had the opportunity to watch it in that context? Of course not! A review from that perspective.
Swear to God, the fact that I said this made I did have a couple people in the comments claiming that they were there for the original airing. That was interesting. I'm not sure if I believe them. I'm not sure if I believe them.
Has like
I
zero
feel like actually at best they probably just caught reruns, but maybe that's just me.
I mean, if someone wants to try that, have fun.
Oh, and obviously Defender of the Universe, not GoLion. I don't unless they were claiming to be Japanese.
I guess, but here in modern times, I can say with confidence that watching this show wasn't a very good experience. The pacing is bad. The episodic jaunts aren't good enough to make the sparse overarching story worth it. Maybe there's a watch guide that could help you skip to the good parts, but I'm not interested. It's these ones.
I actually do. I stand by this. This is a good watch guide. This is you'll notice it still includes most of the episodes, but there are a few that I think are completely skippable. I think especially at the beginning, being able to skip straight from 7 to 12. It's for the best.
But in all seriousness, you should honestly use a guide like this at your own peril. You always run the risk of missing out on a moment that might be your favorite, like the soccer field building episode, which is not included in this proposed guide. I'll steal the thoughts of Parachuting Kitten real quick.
I think it's a thing of like, I disagree with watch guides on principle, but if you just want to experience the show, and yeah. I think if unless you're insane, you probably should not actually just sit down and commit to watching every single episode. Even if on principle, I think that, yeah, you should.
Has a criminally underviewed video on the Tangled TV series, and in the end she says something interesting about the way we tend to view filler in shows like this. Complaining about filler arcs in long-running anime that happen to outpace its manga is one thing, but claiming that standalone episodes in a series designed to be episodic counts as filler somehow is fucking stupid. Just because it doesn't further the plot directly doesn't mean it's not worth watching, and you can't say you've properly taken in a piece of art while also ignoring aspects of that art you find unsightly. I can't say for sure if you'll have a better or worse experience by doing this, but you will always have a lesser experience. Watch Long Ring Longland. I mean, don't watch GoLion. I mean, okay, we're actually nearing the end here. I have maybe one major criticism left to make. Let me check.
Listen, I skip One Piece arcs sometimes too. I just
Wait,
I do it.
I knew I was going to do this section from near the beginning. First, some housekeeping. I don't want to hear anything about how it was a different time or how actually Japan is more conservative than America. The latter is, let's be real, not true, and is a narrative mostly pushed by deeply conservative weebs that want to justify bad takes in their favorite anime.
I want to clarify this one because not that anyone said anything about this, but I want to make sure I'm coming across as clear as possible. It's not that Japan isn't conservative, it is. I think I ended up kind of saying the point backwards. That was my issue with it. Japan is conservative, but it's not substantially more conservative than the US already is. I think the US is just more conservative than what a lot of people assume is the problem. I think we've been shown that time and time again. But yeah, Japan still is conservative, but I don't think you will actually have a harder time, like, I don't know, being openly queer in Japan than you would in America. And that's keeping in mind that it's already not all that easy in America.
The former implies that every show before arbitrary year X was deeply sexist, which is just ridiculous, barely worth responding. They weren't, idiot! Even if they were, I can't believe we're still making the argument that overt bigotry of the past is somehow excusable because everyone was doing it, right?
I like hopped onto my stool really hard to get that shot, and I was slightly afraid I would break it, actually. It's not, it was cheap. It was cheap is the thing. So I had a slight fear, but it's fine. It's fine, and I was fine. I shouldn't do something like that again.
Empathy is not a modern invention. I can excuse a bad take or two. I can't excuse continually treating your female characters like shit. With that out of the way, GoLion continually treated its female characters like shit. It was one of the few aspects of the show that I found genuinely and consistently frustrating, and to prove my point, let's end this video by talking about a few of them, our three paragons of womanhood.
Oh yeah, if you're curious, Defender of the Universe is like exactly the same. It directly, even in cases where it would have been appropriate to cut out some of the more sexist moments, they just keep all of them. So it's just as bad. No improvement. Very lateral move,
you will. The witch, the maid,
maybe a few lines that they shift to make it slightly better, but
from here on out.
I don't know, shifting a little line doesn't exactly excuse keeping the spanking scene in there. That was unnecessary. To explain that, there was a scene where the nanny spanks the princess after she's like trying to she's trying to like she's going through a whole rebellious thing trying to make herself the pilot of the Blue Lion. And in order to stop her, yeah, her old nanny literally bends her over her knee and starts spanking her. The princess is presumably a grown woman. the fucking 4Kids version keeps it in there. It keeps it in there. That I was kind of aghast when I saw that a second time.
Then maybe I'd have time for a deep dive on the portrayals of witches in fiction. Smarter people than me have made videos and written books on the subject. The main thing you have to understand is that it's an archetype that has been reclaimed to varying success over the years, but here is played quite straight, something problematic in and of itself. The classical witch, as she appears through the character of Honerva, is a perversion of womanhood, and therefore can act as a good indicator of what the writers feel are signifiers of a proper woman. Honerva is ugly, scheming, subservient to the emperor, who, spoiler alert, we find out is her son, but that hardly makes her a good mother. She does little to save him when it becomes clear Syncline's machinations are going to get him killed, attempting to kill Syncline in return when that comes to pass. If you're doing the math here, that's her grandson. Motherhood, beauty, and honesty can then be said to be traits that she subverts here. The last I'm neutral on, her schemes are one of the few genuine joys I took from this show. The first two are worrying, and if I have to explain to you why, you might be on the wrong channel here. Looks as a signifier of goodness is a trope I really hope we left behind in the 80s, and the show's preoccupation with motherhood as a theme and as a signifier of humanity and goodness feels at best wildly uncomfortable. In case you don't get it and are still somehow here, women don't need to be mothers to be worthwhile, and media has a weird double standard when it comes to bad mothers versus bad fathers. A bad father can be a complex figure, a bad mother is a perversion. She's a witch. I haven't mentioned this character yet, and she's not even in Legendary Defender, so let me give her a quick introduction. His is basically Fala's lady-in-waiting / caretaker. She's so unimportant to the plot that she's only referred to as Nanny in Defender of the Universe, but somehow manages to make it into every single episode post her introduction in GoLion. She's a traditionalist.
I think my assumption when I saw that she was just named Nanny in the wiki, my assumption was that she that her role was reduced in that, but it's actually not. She just doesn't have a name for some reason, which I'm not sure if that's like more or less insulting. I think that's more insulting, actually, significantly.
And there's hardly a second of her screen time in which she's not complaining about something. You could even say she's his Terrical. She'll shriek about how the princess isn't being ladylike enough, or how the heroes are a bunch of low-class hoodlums, or how the princess needs to be protected, be more modest, stop piloting. Get the idea? She's a nuisance. Having a character whose sole purpose is to complain is bad enough, but 90% of the time it's something overtly sexist aimed specifically at the girl that she
There's
raised.
the spanking scene.
The easy argument to make, of course, is that
God, I
as
hate
an
it.
audience member on Fala's side, you're obviously supposed to view Heath as being wrong. And in all fairness, barely anyone in the plot takes Heath all that seriously. Well, except here's the problem. They don't take her seriously, but they sure do parrot a lot of her talking points. Rybel, the cool, stoic butler to Heath's nanny, complains about basically all the same things she does. But because he's the cool older man in the crew, no one's dismissive or rude to him. The heroes only think Heath is
Rybel can catch these hands, honestly. Further I got in, more I hated him as a character. He can catch these fucking hands.
being silly about Fala's modesty because they think she looks hot in a bikini, and otherwise are barely any better than her when it comes to their faith in Fala as a pilot.
It's a shame because his legendary defender equivalent Karan, he's great.
Something that, trust me, we'll get to. She's a middle-aged
They're
woman
not the
designed
same.
to be unpleasant. Her views do not meaningfully change over the course of the series. She is a bad character and is perhaps the one most emblematic of the sexism in the writing room. Almost. Anyway, there is... When I said we'd get to it, oh boy. As bad
I'll
as
stop
I've
making
been
the Sleeping
Fala
Beauty
out to
references
keep
when I'm dead in the
implication
ground.
jokes about her being girl, I promise it's so much worse.
I'm
than
so
that.
glad I was
Fala
able to get
is
that music
extremely
past copyright.
complicated. It
I'm
needs to be
so
acknowledged
fucking
that an
glad.
attempt was made to turn her into a strong female character. I can imagine a version of her with minor
I was
tweaks
sure that
manages
Disney
to
would
be
get
even
on my
feminist,
ass.
and that version is called Allura from Voltron Legendary. In all seriousness,
Granted, it's Tchaikovsky, so it's like not I don't think Disney can't hold the copyright to it directly. I'm pretty sure even when they used that arrangement, it was like Creative Commons at that point, or it was out of copyright or whatever. But that doesn't stop Disney from copyrighting certain performances of it. So I guess it was just my luck of finding a specific version of it that no one had any filters up for.
seriousness though, I see the vision. She's the princess of a downtrodden populace. She may not have experience as a pilot, but she takes up the mantle anyway for her people that don't even know who she is, really. She's just that dedicated to protecting them and living up to her title as the last ruler of Altea. She faces obstacles, the sexism and traditionalism of the people around her, but no matter how many times she's failed, she keeps on getting back up. And by the end, she's one of the most formidable pilots on the whole team. That's a journey I can really get behind. The closest thing to a proper character arc we see in this whole show, but that doesn't change how annoying it is when she's getting kidnapped or tricked or is crashing her line for the 10th episode in a row. Why is it that halfway through the series, she barely seems any better a pilot than she did at the beginning, when on her first outing as a pilot, she literally closed her eyes in fear and would have died if Kogane hadn't saved her? Why is it, when at the 3/4 mark, when she has actually improved, her teammates who are her friends grow enraged at the mere suggestion that she pilot the Black Lion? Why is it that when she shows courage and goes out alone in this line to protect them, and even manages to do a good job leading GoLion in the head position, the plot treats it as if she wasn't ready yet, and that she was still, after all this time and dedication, lesser than her male counterparts?
This part makes me mad. This part of the show makes me fucking mad. I'm just inside. I feel like I hit the nail right in the fucking head with this. Everything surrounding Fala, it frustrates me, and I'm incredibly glad that Allura from Legendary Defender is just a is the way she is. It's kind of a miracle, honestly.
It's actually infuriating the way
I'm
she
curious
gets
about
treated
the
here, and not just because I
middling
get so worked up
adaptations,
about
how they're going to treat
feminism,
her.
I can feel the gap between the writer's intentions and what they've actually put into the script.
Because I think I said it there too, but yeah, I do actually believe that they had some amount of good intentions there. A lot of times whenever you have these like female Super Sentai characters, it's mostly for the sake of being able to reach out to the little girls in the audience, because there always will be some, at least, even if it's a boys show, quote unquote. But a lot of times these have the attitude of like, well, we need a character that the little sister of the boy watching can relate to, not we need a character for the little girl herself, right? It's always secondary. It's oftentimes how you get these, where it's like, I think there was something there that was like well intentioned, but it just ends up getting bogged down under this need to just have the female character just be secondary, you know? And it fucking sucks. It sucks that that they can't just consider her on her own, even as they try and write an arc that feels like, I don't know, some kind of emotionally honest. I'm rambling. Let's finish this up.
Listen, I doubt you're still asking this question at this point, but I needed some kind of title for the end here. I don't know. Maybe? I bet you $5 you can't finish it. GoLion is, if anything, an interesting show to talk about. Enough so that I managed it for this video's length of time long. There's even stuff that I left out. Don't even get me started on the World War II imagery. Actually, yeah, don't. We really don't have time for all that, and I'd much prefer it if someone much smarter than me took on that burden. It's interesting, it's cringe, its characters are paragons, they're tired archetypes that reveal maybe a bit too much about the writers. It can be beautiful. I have been very consistent in my lack of desire to give you a clear-cut answer to this question. I'm not going to change that now. I wanted to give a quick thanks to my friends.
End of the video. All that's left is just the little rollout. I'll skip past that part. Just a short little stream today, because again, streaming literally every single day of this month. But thanks for sitting with me for this I don't know, advertisement of my main channel, I guess. That's basically what this is. Mostly just a chill, laid back discussion of thoughts post-mortem. A post-mortem 6 months too late. Half a year too late. I don't know. Even if you watch this through this way, you know, feel free to watch this video in the background with your ad block off, so can push it up to 1,000 views. That'd be nice. I'd appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. What do I got planned for tomorrow? I think tomorrow is gonna be a game. I think we're playing Soma. Are we playing Soma? We're playing Soma. So yeah. I will. Well, I'll see you then. Oh, I'm actually looking. I think I switched around the thumbnails and the schedule that I put up. So I guess Hetalia next week. That's what I meant to do. But for some reason, well, it's fine. That's fine. Anyway, Soma tomorrow, and then next week we'll do another one of these. And then hopefully on the 18th, I'll be able to react to the Has-Been video. Because hopefully by then it'll actually be out. Yeah. I will see you tomorrow. Have a very good night. Good night.